Greeters, Moni and Charles this morning. And refreshments. Of course, we don't make coffee. Georgetown, that. But the sisters. Barb, do we have any visitors this morning?
We have Dorothy Jeans. You're back here. Fourth row back. Right here.
Okay.
Repeat visitor.
I've visited a number of times. The joy it is to be here.
If you visit enough a number of times, you become a member, you know.
All the way from Orange to Billy.
And then Lucille has two young ladies with her.
Well, I'll introduce mine when you...
Yeah, okay, she's gonna have them do something for us in a little bit. Okay, we got a birthday today. Herb Wade. Is he not here? Okay. And then we have a anniversary also, but they're not here either, are they? The Bowmans? Susan and Sam.
Oh, no, they're in Las Vegas.
Las Vegas. Okay. I guess they're celebrating, is that right?
Sounds like it.
They're always celebrating.
Want to remember that we're not going to have a class on the 24th. Just so as you remember and don't show up down here. Kind of like I did. I showed up Wednesday over here to help for Wednesday Night Live and found out it was a week early.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Joys and concerns? Alan.
I have a joy, and my joy is this class. Y'all are awesome, awesome. And I love you each one, and it's so good to be back, and I appreciate all the cards and the calls and the prayers especially. Thank you.
Jim, did you have a little something?
Just a couple of things right quick. Received a note from Eric and Jane McKinney. Just wanted to read it to you. Dear Jim and Marion, please extend our gratitude to the Contemporary Reformed Sunday School class for its kind invitation for Jane and me to attend the delightful Christmas party last Friday. We were so pleased to be included. The chance to celebrate with you was delightful. Blessings to you all, Eric and Jane McKinney. Also at a meeting I was at this week, Reverend Yvonne and Reverend Ron both came over and said to tell you thank you very much for including them in the Christmas party. So our pastors were certainly appreciative of being at the party. One other quick announcement. This year, in 2018, I think he's already been at several meetings. Dick Doan. Dick, would you stand?
I'm right here.
Okay, Dick is now a member of the trustees. And the trustees membership is responsible for taking care of all the property, taking care of debt, taking care of anything dealing with the operations, building operations of the church. So if we got a question about the elevator, you can talk to Dick. Dick, thank you very much for your... I want to put this back on the bulletin board for you to look at. Good luck.
By the way, I had a question about the bulletin board. I noticed there's stuff up there that's been there for years. Does anybody...
Ask Dick about it.
Ask Dick about it.
I can see right now he's going to have a fun time.
Do we have a update on, we may have missed it, on Ann's condition? Yes. I didn't find anything on the email about how she's doing at this point. Do you know?
But she was at the party.
Right, but since the party, I just wondered.
Yeah, something added more something did, Sandra sent another follow-up. I don't remember the exact, but
yes, she was supposed to
there
go.
was an update. Yeah.
She was supposed to go and get some more treatment or a decision from a doctor, and I didn't know if somebody could come after that.
It was, that appointment
Joe.
was postponed. I do know, maybe, I wasn't sure I had the latest. So, whether it was through my Emmaus group, Grace Galore, there's several ladies in that group that keep up with Ann almost daily. The appointment with the specialist didn't work out. She got there and she had to take a PA because the doctor was tied up in an emergency, a trauma case over in Austin. So she understood, but she was disappointed. The PA ordered another CT scan, and she has an appointment with a specialist tomorrow.
Okay, we have a clipboard to pass. This is the prayer list. Alice needs some names on it. I guess I can't write them again, can I, Joe?
If you don't sign the prayer list, you ride over the wheels.
The back wheels is on the
Okay. All right, we have a special program this morning. Lucille's going to introduce some ladies here for us. Mary has the prayer this morning. And then Ken will have the lesson after the girls here.
Thank you.
Is Mary not here? Yes.
Well, anything I might say following all this would be anticlimactic.
Oh,
Now you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Anything I can say would be anticlimactic after all this, and before you young ladies are going to present it. It's been an amazing week with the snow. Everybody tells their snow experiences.
yeah, right.
Let's see, I was at
Southwestern.
Okay.
I can't do it.
Anyway, let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for all the blessings that we have bestowed upon us. We thank you for this beautiful day, for all these wonderful people. We pray that you'll be with us. In Jesus' name, amen.
This morning we're having our annual Christmas program. We have 3 presenters this morning, and in order, Lucille, and then Eleanor Cowan, and then Frank Fushak, 3 wonderful members of our class, and I'm sure we're all looking forward to each one. Lucille.
But these girls know how to talk in front of a mic.
All right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have Bailey Brown and Sophie Coberman visiting with us this morning. And they do some of the things that we do. Hope you can hear me.
Not unless you hold it right in front of you.
Okay. All right. My husband and I have taken this magazine, Reminisce, for many years. And it takes us back to the days when we were much younger. And we have enjoyed it. And when I say reminisce, do you girls know what reminisce? All right, reminisce is a new word for remember. That's a big word, reminisce. But they know how to reminisce. So we're going to do a little bit of that, aren't we? I, as a little girl, lived in Wichita Falls in a neighborhood with one block that we had at least 12 children. We don't have many blocks like that now. But we would play after dark with by light of the street lights, or the doors would be lighted. And we would play Didn't matter how cold or how hot, we played until our parents called us in. At Christmas time, I guess I better tell you that we had a voice teacher in our neighborhood that would teach people how to sing. Can you imagine? And they went through the, thank you, the scales, and they'd go la 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 la, and we thought that was funny, but we listened because they would do it in different tones and in different styles, and they were learning to pronounce sounds correctly. At Christmas time, we were sitting on the front steps across the street of a house that belonged to the editor of the newspaper. And we sang. Oh, did we sing. And he thought that was pretty good. So he took us around different places where we could go and sing. And then he really thought we were good because he had the photographer from the newspaper come and take our pictures. And there we sat. We weren't all dressed up like you. We were in our play clothes or our jackets and sweaters and hats. And we had our pictures taken. And that picture came out in the newspaper. And we felt so important. Do you know, I still have that picture somewhere, but I could not for the life of me find it. But I have it, and it's also up here. Which one of you would like to tell us a story?
When I was about 3 or 4 years old, my mom woke me up, and we walked into the living room, and my whole family was there, and all my gifts were there, and a big, brown, like huge stuffed dog on top of an easel was standing there, and I said in a really deep voice, "Big brown dog," and I still have it, and we changed its name to Big Brown Puppy because now I think it's small.
Thank you, baby. Sophie?
Every weekend in December, we go to North or South Austin, I can't remember, for a Christmas party that we do every year. It's fun, and like a lot of people are there. There's like a table that is like half food and then half dessert.
Oh, wow. Do you sing or tell stories?
We do caroling. I can't remember what time. It's 7 o'clock or something. Or maybe like 8.
Okay. What's the best part?
I think the best part is with all the friends.
The best part is being together. And being together, we remember Advent season is building up to the birth of Christ, our Savior, and what He means to each one of us. Because we sing about love, Jesus' love for us, and our love for Jesus. And that love grows and grows and grows. And you're invited to hear these girls be a part of the children's Advent program at 11 o'clock across the street. I watched them yesterday as they practiced. Not just these girls, but smaller ones and bigger ones. And it's such a wonderful time that we can live in the present of the children, of adults, and in the life of Jesus. We are growing. We are still growing. Let us have a prayer. We're thankful for Jesus and that we can still grow and love Jesus more and more and more. Help us, we pray. Amen. Amen.
That's wonderful.
They volunteered. I didn't have to do anything.
It's for Sophie. And this one says it's for baby.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay, how does one follow that?
Yeah.
I'm not playing Hollywood on you. When Ken asked me to do this, I forgot about an ophthalmology appointment for some surgery Friday, and it's all swelled, and I don't want to subject you to looking at these things. I might be wiping some tears along here, but I've written this as big a print as I can. So I'm going to begin with a poem taken from a book called The Child on His Knees. Everything speaks of you, dear God. The clouds up in the sky tell me about you as they pass. And the wind going by whispers, He sent me. On the hills the grasses softly say, we know Him too. And all the trees stand still and try to pray. Everything speaks of you. The sun, it comes up, calls out, oh, see how beautiful I am. He made me, see, oh, see. And in the night time, all the stars keep saying it to me. Yes, everywhere I go, dear God, and everywhere I look, things speak to me of you and tell me more than any book. Oh God, I've learned such lovely things about you from a rose. And oh, I know that you taught a lily how to close. I know that you have painted all the flowers on the hills. And so I think of you when I see daffodils. The continuity of life. It may seem strange that I start a Christmas meditation with Thanksgiving thoughts. But that's where my thoughts were when we celebrate this last Thanksgiving. Our family owns some land in East Texas, halfway between Canton and Athens, just off of Highway 19. My brother bought his portion of the land back in the 70s, and my mother bought some adjoining land about the same time. When my mother had to move out of Dallas, she bought a mobile home, and she put that on her part of the land. I don't know when it started, but at some point we started having Thanksgiving meals in East Texas at the farm. Doug and I alternated with his family until most of them were gone, And then we began to make it to the farm with our 2 sons as much as possible. It has become such a treasure to walk among the beautiful sweet gums, oaks, and dogwoods, which in the springtime look like lace had fallen from the sky on the leafless trees. This past Thanksgiving, the weather was beautiful, so this ritual of a walk after lunch continued. The continuous cycle of beauty in the woods is always something we can count on, God giving us a continuous cycle of life. My brother has 5 children, and over the years several of them have come with their children. After my mother died, my brother built a small house on the property, and he started raising cows, which my nephews have taken over now. No one lives in the house full-time, but is there for all to enjoy when needed. Since it's small, we spill over into the yard and onto the porch for our meal. One tradition of having a campfire going most of the day. After the walk in the woods, we mosey back to the campfire to sit and rock and visit. This year I was sitting there in one of those bouncy lawn chairs and looked up and saw my niece with her, my great niece actually, with her baby. And I asked her to let me have her. So I sat there and rocked Miss Lorelei to sleep. As I looked around, I was amazed at the eclectic age group. I remembered those who had passed on during the years, and then seeing my nieces and nephews with their grandchildren made me think of the continuity of life. It was a beautiful feeling. Think of this tradition hopefully continuing throughout the years to come. Some of us in this group will be gone someday, but life goes on. I then thought of Christmas and the birth of Christ, which reinforced the continuity of life. In our old familiar John 3:16, I'm going to quote it like I learned it. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. In John 14:6, Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. So, we know, though we have lost loved ones, and some of us may not be here next year, we're reminded of life continuing, the continuity of life. And we feel blessed to experience this part of life on earth. From Helen Steiner Rice, the heavens declare the glory of God. You ask me how I know it's true that there is a loving God, a God who rules the universe, the sky, the sea, the sod, a God who holds all creatures in the hollow of his hand, a God who put infinity in one tiny grain of sand, a God who made the seasons, winter, summer, fall, and spring, and put his flawless rhythm into each created thing. A God who hangs the sun out slowly with the break of day and gently takes the stars in and puts the night away. A God whose mighty handiwork defies the skill of man, for no architect can alter God's perfect master plan. What better answers are there to prove his holy being than the wonders all around us that are ours for just the seeing?
Good morning, y'all.
I'm going to tell you a couple of stories about things that had quite an impact on my attitude toward Christmas spirit. These stories are in addition to, like when I was a kid, I got an unbelievable gift. I didn't think I would ever possibly get something like this. It was a Red Ryder BB gun. And you know the movie that I like to watch now. I like mementos, and so when we first moved here several years ago in '94, I saw a Red Ryder BB gun for sale in Walmart, and I bought it. And I taught the kids how to do a little target practice. And I also found another memento at a garage sale. I like to go to garage sales. It was a leg lamp. But Julie put her foot down on that. So anyway, on to my stories. The first story is about a trip that I made in my first life. By the way, Julie's not here. She's in Fort Worth, being a good grandmother, watching one in a swim meet, and one daughter who Julie gave her a grand piano, and she now is a piano teacher, and so Julie's there watching the recital of some of her students. But anyway, on to my first life. I was in California trying to make a living. Just got out of Korea, back from Korea, and wife, little baby girl, go to California in 1957, and hadn't been home to see the grandparents since we had had a couple more babies. And so in 1961, I think it was, in an old beat-up, used 1957 Ford station wagon, got 3 kids and 1 dog, Henry, loaded into the station wagon. I think we had some stuff piled on top of it too. But away we go, heading for an 1,800-mile trip in that car down to Bakersfield and Barstow and so forth. I think many of you have been that way. El Paso, and this was before Highway 10 in '61, and I think it was 290 from El Paso on into almost to Austin. But we're driving along, just having a great time, and it was very late at night, trying to push as many miles as we could outside of Fort Stockton in West Texas. And cold, and out in West Texas, you could even see the Milky Way back then. Wasn't any lights, and we're just cruising along. But then my headlights started getting dimmer and dimmer and dimmer, and I said, "Uh-oh, I think my generator is going." And that was before alternators in that old car. So, and sure enough, the car just stopped. And we've got a very serious problem. You don't have a cell phone, and that late at night, there just wasn't hardly any cars at all. And if there was a car, you could see it coming 5 miles away. You could see the lights. So I got outside the car, I saw some lights coming, and I thought, you know, please, need help, cold, not a lot of money either, because this was back before maternity benefits were. So, anyway, this car came, and it goes, but it got pretty far down, and I saw the brake lights come on. Backed up. There was a couple of guys in it, and they said, "What's the problem?" And I told them about that, how the lights went dim. They were a couple of roughneck, oil field roughneck. I guess most of you know what, are familiar with the term roughneck. They were heading their home from spending a shift out on the oil rig. And one of them said, "You know, I got a mechanic friend in Fort Stockton that might be able to help you." And away they went. And I thought, well, I wonder how this is going to work out. But not too long, I saw some lights coming from the Fort Stockton direction. And it was the mechanic. He had an overcoat on over his pajamas and cowboy boots. And he brought the parts because he knew what, with the lights dimming like they did, he knew what was necessary. He brought some brushes to rebuild that generator. I'm out there holding the light and shaking. He's getting this thing fixed. Got it back on the car, jumped the battery, and it worked fine. And I said, "How much do I owe you?" He said, "You don't owe me anything." He said, "Follow me into Fort Stockton, and I would like to buy y'all some chocolate, hot chocolate, and donuts, and Merry Christmas."
Oh my God.
That gave a new meaning to, and goodwill toward all in my soul. My next story is about when we moved to Georgetown, and I joined the Sertoma Club, met a lot of nice people, and they had undertaken a program called Project Share. I don't know how many of you are familiar with it. I know some of the newcomers are not. But this, it all began in the fall of 1978 when Wayne and Sue Meadows was a middle school teacher. They had some daughters that had pretty much grown up. They were cleaning out a bunch of dolls and toys and stuff. But there was nobody to give these toys to, nobody that collected them and distributed them among the needy. They contacted some friends of theirs and said, "You know, we think it would be nice to have a share program here in our little town." And at that time, I don't think the population of Georgetown was over 5,000 people. But them and their friends, and some of you may know, for example, one of Sue's friends was Kay Merritt, Wayne and Kay, and Jim Wilson was very, him and Carol were very active in setting this thing up, and they started with volunteers, not one no one had 1 penny of anything from any food contributions, toys. They set up red barrels all around town in schools and grocery stores and so forth. And in the first year, 205 people were able to enjoy a better Christmas. Julie and I got involved in this in the mid-90s, and this was one of the best experiences I had in this town. We would gather up in the attic. Everyone would go to the attic of the Christ Lutheran Church, and all the toys and so forth were up there. Repair the toys, wrapping gifts, made a lot of good friends, and then the sorting, they got the names of people from the police, the schools of the needy, and the caring place was just a small operation back then, but they did have some names too that they provided. And when these things were all sorted, and they were custom sorted to each family because they knew they got two girls and a boy and so forth, and they sorted out the food, the toys, and clothing, and they would be delivered by volunteers. And I can always remember Julie and I delivering several boxes to several families. And after that experience, we were kind of in doubt about where to live here in Central Texas. But after that experience, I told Julie, I said, you know, we picked the right place. And so, also, after meeting all of the people here in this Sunday school class, that just substantiates to me that we picked the right place.
Well, I think that this has been a wonderful program, and I just want to thank Lucille and Eleanor and Frank for participating. You know, what they said came from the heart, and it's very touching, isn't it? I'll be teaching next week, and it's not necessary, but it would be helpful for you if before coming out to a Sunday school next week, if you would read the 2nd chapter of St. Matthew. Now, John, we may have time for the treasurer's report if it's okay with the presidents.
All right, let's get him up there. Hey, let's let him tell us about it. It has to do with money, I think.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
I suspect it's not going to be as interesting as the last 30 minutes. But we'll go through this anyhow. When I last talked to you about your finances, your budget, back in late October, and I alluded to the fact that we probably were going to finish the year with quite a bit of money sitting there in the operating budget, and more money than what we needed. And I suggested we should be thinking about what we're going to do about that. Well, here we are, we're in December, and we've got 2 Sundays to go, this Sunday and next Sunday, as far as Sunday morning collections are concerned. And it appears to me that we probably could finish the year with around $820. That's already including an estimated cost on my part of a new coffee pot. And I'm estimating $150 because Joyce says she wants a good coffee pot. I know we paid for the previous one, I know we paid for this one, so to get a good coffee pot, I think we're talking $150. Anyway, around $820. So what are we going to do about this? Well, there's several options. We could do nothing. Let it carry over into the next year and talk about everything next month when we talk about our 2018 budget. Or we can make some additional contributions to some of those functions we already contribute to. There's 9 of them. Or, as one person suggested back at that time, we could give some money to UMCOR. Or we could even journal over some money over into the memorial fund. Right now we have $150 in the memorial fund. Well, your financial committee has thought about this a little bit and spent a whole lot of time on it. But we have some suggestions. We could contribute $200 to the UMCOR fund. We could go ahead and journal $100 over into the memorial fund, bringing that fund up to $250. So that's the recommendations of the committee. Does anybody have any comments or questions?
Second the motion.
I haven't heard the motion. But I understand. I'm with you. Okay. Anybody else have any comment?
I make a motion that we move as suggested.
And Alan's already seconded. So we're in good shape. Now I guess we call for the vote. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
That's it. We will take care of the problem.
Thank you, John. Okay, our trustee has got to speak.
Since we have a moment, I'd like to put on another hat just for down here in our class. Ann Hagman called me last week. She was having a serious problem on the internet getting our videos from the class, and she ended up having to call in a professional and look at her system. She found that it was all working properly for a fee, and then she called me, and so I tried out the cf-fumc.org site, and I ended up finding that I had some problems with it as well. And so this morning I told Ann that I would take a poll here at the class and see. My first question is, how many in this class have ever used the site and looked? So we have half of the class. And of course the other question then arises is, how many problems were you able to see the 40-minute video without problems? Or I guess I should say, how many did not have a problem? Most of you. Okay.
I never could get it at all.
Okay.
And my friend said
So
she
we,
couldn't either. She's kind of like,
some of us cannot get it at all, and some are having some problems and all. So, well, that gives us an idea of what to start trying to work on anyhow, because there's many variables.
If you do have problems, let me know and call me and let me work through it with you and see if I can figure out what's going on, because otherwise it's just, there's a problem. It's like
Exactly.
saying, my car won't run. What's wrong with it? It won't run.
Call Fort Stockton. All right. Well, okay, so we've got one solution.
Tom Irving.
So, thank you, Tom. And, yes.
I would suggest, Tom, maybe y'all send out maybe you send out an email to everybody in the class to give them your phone number and your email address if they are having problems. So they'll have it and they'll know where to contact.
Contact Tom. Contact Tom.
Yeah.
Great.
And the things I'm gonna ask you is, what computer are you using, what browser are you using, and when was it updated last? Because almost invariably it's one that, oh, it's about 10 years old. You can expect to have problems.
And in that case, Tom, what is the main browser that you use?
I use all of them, but some really good ones are Chrome is good, Firefox is good,
My son does it.
Internet Explorer is horrible. So if you're using Internet Explorer, you can expect to have problems with all sorts of things.
Well, personally, I switched over to Chrome this past week when I was having problems, and what we ended up is I was trying to change weeks on the list of availability, and I find that is extremely burdensome, that when you have 1 week locked in and you stop that program and try and switch to another week, that the Chrome wouldn't give me much help on that one.
All
and
it
then,
is just that link should load to the next one and start. You know.
But anyhow, then the other problem that we ran into was that right after about 15 minutes of running one video, the program completely stopped, and I got an indication from Chrome that the video was locked up. I don't know. Anyhow, appreciate your help on it, and since we had an extra minute, thought we'd try and help out Ann and see if we could come to some conclusion.
Well, there's one thing I've been thinking about doing, because I can move, it's possible that I could move those to YouTube, and YouTube does a really good job of delivering videos. And it would do a couple of things. It'd get it off my server too, because believe me, those are huge. It's chewing up a lot of space. So I may look into trying to do that, and if so, if we can put it on YouTube, it'll be a different way to get to it.
Yes.
But I can make it so that that page you have now automatically goes to it. You know.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
And
so
what's the time frame on YouTube?
I probably early next year, if I, because it's going to take a little while to get them up there. Yeah, figure out what's going on.
Great.
Yeah.
Hopefully Ann will be back by then.
Yes.
All right, thank you for your time, and I believe that concludes things. Oh, sorry. There you go.
That's fine. The only thing I could add to that is keep in mind that some of us are not very computer adept. And a 10-year-old system is probably more likely than you bet.
Well, my new system didn't work either.
All right, well, that's it. Goodbye and have a good week.